How amazing. Well, we're going to hear some more good stuff from the United Food and Commercial Workers. So I am so pleased to introduce to you Keith Ludlum, Terry Slaughter, and Lydia Victoria, who are the president, the secretary-treasurer, and the union rep, respectively, of Local 1208 of the United Food and Commercial Workers. Here they are. The leadership that were elected in 2009 after a relentless 15-year struggle to unionize the huge Smithfield Food Slaughterhouse in Tar Heel, North Carolina, which processes 32,000 hogs a day. They now represent 5,000 workers who are about 2/3 African American and 1/3 Latino. So let's give it up for these folks right here.
Things are all surrounding this Smithfield campaign, which, as Megan said, it was an attempt to organize the biggest hog slaughterhouse plant in the world. And it's a couple hours down Route 95 in Tar Heel, North Carolina, where 5,000 workers kill 8 million hogs a year in that plant. And they began to organize in the early 90s, and we won in 2008. And now, instead of these folks being in the plant, they're now the plant elected representatives, and they stand up with the workers and for the workers whenever the company gets out of line. Yeah. It was one of the biggest union victories that have happened in decades in this country. And one of the things that was really important about it is that in those plants were black and Latino and white workers, and in order to win, we had to win together. If we lost, we all lost. If we stayed divided, we all stayed divided. And so that was the strategy in the plant. And then we went out of the plant. And when we went out of the plant, we went to the immigrant communities. We went to the churches, people like Reverend Johnson, and we marched in the immigrant rights demonstrations in New York City and Chicago, and we went everywhere and tried to build broad kind of coalitions to put pressure on the company. And that was one of the main reasons why we won. So that's sort of the context. And let me start by asking Keith. And now, Keith, you started working in the plant after you got back from the Gulf War in 1993. And then you tried to organize a union, they fired you, and it took you more than 10 years to finally get it settled. And then you came back into that plant? What, are you crazy? I'm sorry to ask him that, but it is, you know. So what brought you back into the plant after all that?
No, I knew the offensive that they were doing in our community. I knew the offensives that they were doing to the employees, you know, and they were using people up, and they were keeping people divided. You know, it's just corporate America taking advantage of good, hard-working people trying to feed their families. You know, and that was my community. So, yeah, it took a long time in court because they had all the money and lawyers, but we had the truth, you know, and the truth will always prevail. That's right. You know, and so we were able to get back in the plant and get the campaign started back. And I think that's when you came on board, is when I returned back to the plant and started the Smithfield Campaign.
The union filed the charges, and Keith hung in there, and eventually we won. Now, in the meantime, lots of people came through the plant that weren't there when Keith started working. And before he came back, one of the people that had started taking some leadership in the plant was Terry Slaughter. And so, Terry, you worked in one of the toughest places in the whole plant, in the livestock department.
When I started seeing that the hogs was actually running over people, you know, and Smithfield management did nothing about that. You know, they would actually move, you know, the individual to the side and keep running the hogs. When they kept doing those injustices, I said, listen, it's time to change, not now, but right now. So I started to talk to my co-workers, let them know we need a union. It's not going to stop unless we get together and do something about it. You know, actually getting a union, stick-to-itiveness is what you need. If you don't have it, you won't get it. That's when I actually became a part of, you know, this fight.
Yo empecé a trabajar en la planta de Smithfield en 1995.
So the truth is, I started working at the Smithfield plant in 1995.
La condición de trabajo, el maltrato que le daban a nosotros los empleados, fue lo que me hizo que yo comenzara pues, a hacer campaña con la UFCW.
And it was the working conditions and how badly that the workers were being treated on the floor that made me become involved with the union.
Fue una gran batalla, pero en realidad valió la pena porque lo logramos.
It was a big fight, but it was worth it because we achieved it, we won.
Y yo estoy muy orgullosa de que hoy tenemos nuestra unión en nuestra planta y que en realidad las cosas cambiaron para el bien de todos y siguen cambiando.
And I'm very proud that we have the union in the plant today, and the conditions changed for folks, and they continue to change.
You have a plant that's so divided between African American, Latino, and Latino from different countries, and white workers, that the company thinks they got it made, right? And overwhelming, when Keith came back, there was predominantly Spanish-speaking workers in the plant. So Keith, as a white worker coming into a place where they're really, most of the white workers were in the maintenance department, which was the good job, and you walked into one of the lousy jobs. So what was that like for you? And how did you sort of build those relationships that they don't come automatically? You got to work on them, right?
Well, I mean, unless you know what it feels like to be a minority. You know, like I've said many times, and I said it to the workers back then, is, you know, corporations, companies, greedy people, evil people, they don't care if you're white, black, or Latino. They're going to use you up. You know, these companies will use you up and cash you to the side. So if you're going to allow your differences to divide you, they're always going to remain victorious. But as soon as we figure out that we're all the same, that we're all trying to make our communities better, trying to improve lives for our families and for our children, then that's what we've got to bond together with and stick together with, to fight against those forces that want to take advantage of us and use us up.
Yeah. And for you, Terry, you're an African-American worker in a plant that at some point, probably by the time you had started working there, had become a mostly Spanish-speaking workplace. And so when you decided to get involved, how did you deal with the differences between the English-speaking workers and the Spanish-speaking workers? How did the union and the workers in the plant build that kind of unity? Because we know that there's a lot of, not necessarily trust to begin with, and the company plays with that and all. How did you deal with that so that you guys ended up being able to have this fight together?
I think I dealt with it this way. In my department, I had a few Latino workers. I mean, they received the same abuse that everybody else received. And in turn, I had them, talk to other Latino workers in the entire plant, And I try to educate them, let them know, and listen, Smithfield is not only gonna, drag you. They're gonna drag all the employees. It doesn't matter if you're Latino, it doesn't matter if you're black. But I can tell you one thing, if the black and Latinos don't come together, they're gonna continue to treat us the way they're treating us. So I got the help of some other Latinos, who spoke to, the other ones inside the plant. We would have meetings, and then there would be examples where the supervisors and management, actually reared their ugly heads, and did things to Latinos workers when they didn't think that would happen to them. So we had to get together. And if we didn't get together, then it would have continued. So, just me talking to, my co-workers, and then us talking to all the workers in the plant, we had to come together. People fail to realize that when you come together as one, then you can achieve anything you want. Sometimes you get tired, sick and tired of being treated the way you're treated. We have 5,000 workers out there, and if 5,000 workers can man up to management, what would they do? And what can they do? Nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, they're stripped. You know, you get pissed off. You know, you get tired of all the things that's going on in your workplace where you think you're safe, you think your job security is there, and it isn't. You don't want to go to work one day knowing that you might get fired for any old thing. So we needed that union. You know, because at the end of the day, you know, 200, 300, 400 people, you know, we're not a movement then. But when you get 5,000, then we're a movement. Then we're heard. Because listen, right now, if 5,000 people is talking, you gotta hear them. There's too many people.
That's right.
So that's what we did. We got together, we united, and if we did have differences, we put them aside for that one common cause. And we won. Now the relationship is great in there. Blacks, Latinos, whites, you know, there's no separation, none of that.